Now, statistically, 30,000 flights are delayed every single day. And while a flight delay may give you benefits such as a free coupon for a sandwich and Coke, it can also make you lose your connecting flight, train, or a Taylor Swift concert if that's what you were after when boarding a plane. Is there a way to avoid flight delays? Well, while they might seem like a total gamble, there are some tricks to boost your odds of getting to your destination without a hitch. According to weather expert Chris Bianchi, it's best to steer clear of booking flights on summer evenings. Seriously, just don't do it. Late afternoon and evening flights during the summer months in the U.S. are notorious for delays due to typical weather chaos. Why is that, you ask? Well, it all comes down to thunderstorm ingredients: moisture, unstable air, and a way for that air to start moving. In the summer, the sun heats everything up and makes the atmosphere unstable. The warm air near the ground rises, cools down as it goes up, and presto! You get clouds that may just decide to throw a thunderstorm party. Unfortunately, the guest list includes your flight delay. Conversely, you can choose the best time to fly. There's no guarantee your flight won't be delayed, but you can snatch the best price at least. So if you book a flight for midweek, let's say Wednesday, it'll probably help you save up to 17% of the initial price. That's around $56 if we speak of domestic flights, not to mention transatlantic ones. But it's not just about the day you book. Timing is crucial. Catch flights early or late. Think 4 a.m. and red-eyes for better deals and fewer crowds. Avoid flying from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. if you can. Long story short, the best days to fly are Tuesday and Wednesday, and the worst day is Sunday. And don't forget the summer season. If you want to have a decent price for your vacay destination, make sure to book that well beforehand. So, you managed to secure the best prices for your tickets. Is there anything important you should know about your luggage? Yep. Once you arrive at your accommodation, you should immediately toss your suitcase into the bathtub. Well, it might sound a bit weird. It's actually pretty smart. And the biggest reason for that is bed bugs. Those creepy little pests love to hide in beds, couches, and even your clothes. And they're all about munching on human blood. Ooh. If they're hanging out in your hotel room, they gladly hitch a ride back home with you in your luggage. So, you should avoid putting your bags on soft surfaces or the bed when you first get to your room. Bedbugs usually chill out on mattresses, box springs, and in furniture cracks. If there's no bathtub in your room, just keep your suitcase in the bathroom, as they're way less to have these little bloodsuckers. You can leave your luggage there while you give your room a good look over for any unwanted guests, or just keep it in the bathroom for your entire stay. Another weird thing you should totally do in a hotel is stashing a towel by your hotel room door. You see, wrapping a small towel around your door's safety latch can really add to your peace of mind. Just pop the towel around the latch and lock it up. This tiny step makes it a lot harder for anyone to get in unexpectedly. And to make it easier to remember, just keep that towel right by your door so you can use it every time you head back to your room. If you ever wanted to know what happens to your baggage when you're on board a plane, the short answer is nobody knows, not even the staff. Baggage is sorted automatically. Scanners scan the barcode and sort the baggage according to its destination. The three main tasks of airport baggage handlers are to move your bags from the check-in area to the gate, to move them from one gate to another when you have a connecting flight, and to move your bags from the plane to the baggage claim area. So, if your baggage doesn't move fast enough, it can be late for your connecting flight. Or the exact opposite. Your bag can get to your destination before you do, because you're stuck at passport control. Now, some people also claim that you might experience some problems if you forget to tear off old stickers showing a different destination. There's an opinion that, in this case, the scanner might send your baggage to the wrong country. Oops. So, you arrive at the airport eagerly anticipating a well-deserved break from work, park your car in the lot, and discover the steep fees for leaving it there. Why is it so expensive? Airport parking facilities operate like any other business. The expenses involved include the cost to the land, the construction of the parking area, and ongoing maintenance, all of which can add up significantly. Ultimately, someone has to cover all these costs. Furthermore, the convenience of parking close to the airport contributes to the higher prices. If you're not willing to spend extra for this added convenience, consider taking a taxi instead. By the way, the world's most expensive airport parking will make you shell out around $500 a week. It's located in Doha, Qatar, and it's earned accolades for the top-notch quality it provides. I mean, it's not surprising for this money. So, you may find it a bit weird that the flight crew is all about where your window shades are. But there's a good reason. They want to help everyone get used to the natural light outside. Plus, it's super important for a smooth boarding and deplaning experience. In case things go sideways during an emergency, you definitely won't want to be blinded when trying to get out of the plane. Also, keeping the window shades up during takeoff and landing lets the ground crew keep an eye on what's happening inside the cabin. If something goes wrong, like a fire, they can spot it right away and jump into action. If the shades are closed, they might miss crucial signs, which can slow down their response when every second counts. When you're going through security, put your stuff on the conveyor belt in an order that will make it easy to repack later. Start with your backpack so that you can toss things right in as they come out. If you have a laptop or any pricey gadgets, stick them in the middle or in the second tray to keep them safe. Basically, you need to put your valuable stuff between your personal items in the first tray, and your carry-on should be the last to go. This will keep your electronics from getting mixed up with other people's stuff. When it comes to packing, you should totally think about just going with a carry-on for a change. The freedom you get is amazing. And even if you decide to check a bag, definitely bring a carry-on with you. Pack a whole outfit in there. While stolen or lost baggage isn't really common, only 3% of luggage doesn't make it to the destination. Baggage delays happen all the time. So, having a backup outfit will save you from looking like a hot mess while you wait for your stuff to show up. We all love snagging those emergency exit rows for some extra legroom, but let's chat about which seats you might want to steer clear of. First off, avoid the seats directly in front of the emergency exits. They usually don't decline. And if you're eyeing those seats in the very back, keep in mind they don't recline either. But hey, there are some perks to sitting in the back. You'll be super close to the bathroom, and there's a good chance you might get a whole row to yourself, since most folks usually skip the last row. Oh, and if you're looking for tips on seat choices for different planes, there are plenty of websites that can help you find the best spots and warn you about the ones to avoid, like those without windows. So there. You arrive at the airport anticipating a pleasant flight. After all, you've paid more for that extra legroom, or a comfy window seat, or a business class. That's when you find out you've been downgraded. How come? And if you can get downgraded, is the opposite possible too? Then what other secrets do airlines hide? Experts claim downgrades do happen, and rather frequently at that. The reasons vary. The airplane can get unexpectedly swapped for a smaller one because of some technical issues. Or a passenger can miss their connection because of a flight delay. The next flight can be a different airplane model, or the seats in the needed class might be already booked. The flight can be overbooked. In this case, if you arrive at the check-in later than other passengers, the place you've booked can already be given away. There have also been cases where people bought first-class tickets only to find out later there was no first class on the plane whatsoever. Oops. But then, how about getting a better seat? Your chances to have an upgrade are higher if you travel at quiet times, for example during bank holidays when business travelers don't fly that often. Join an airline's loyalty program and try to book your flights only with this carrier. Come early for your flight. If there are spare seats in a higher class, you may get them for free. First come, first served. But the rules of downgrading and upgrading aren't the only secrets airlines, flight attendants, and airport staff don't want you to know. If your flight is canceled, get in line at the airline's ticket counter as soon as possible. But while you're waiting, call their customer service. It's usually faster than talking to a gate agent, and in your case, seconds matter. Airport lounges can be available for regular travelers. In most of them, you can pay a certain amount of money and rest in a quiet place with free food and drinks. You can't stay trapped on a plane without going anywhere for more than 3 hours. Any longer than that, and you can ask for compensation. Crew members have a special name for passengers who turn up late and without an assigned seat. It's spinners. Such passengers keep flapping around trying to find an unoccupied place or figure out which overhead bin has a bit of space for their bag. If you need to find a bathroom, the cheapest cafe, or your gate at the airport, don't ask pilots. They're usually just as clueless as you are, unless it's their base airport. Planes must be at least 85% full to bring profit. That's why many flights are overbooked, in case some passengers don't show or miss their connection. If you get bumped unwillingly and are delayed for 2 or more hours, you're entitled to compensation. If you have a choice, pick cash or a check. Vouchers tend to have expiration and blackout dates. Flight attendants dislike delays as much as you do. They're only paid for flight hours, not for the time spent on the ground. Air companies offer cabin crews a small expense allowance for every hour they spend at the airport, but that's pretty much it. Buying group tickets is likely to cost you more than getting several single ones. Let's say you need 5 tickets, but there are only 3 discounted ones left. Instead of snatching 3 cheaper ones and buying 2 at full price, you'd have to pay for 5 regular price tickets. For domestic flights, the cheapest days to fly are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. If it's an international flight, opt for weekdays. Plus, wait for a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday to buy tickets at the lowest price. Despite what you might have seen in action movies, an ordinary person will never manage to land a commercial airplane. Contrary to popular belief, there's no cargo compartment underneath the plane, no extra layers filled with suitcases, bags, and pet carriers. Even if there are some accessible alcoves under the cockpit or cabin, they're too tiny for a person to move without having to crouch. Airplanes only get cleaned once a month or every 6 weeks. But when this time comes, an aircraft is usually taken to the hangar, and the whole cleaning process lasts for more than 8 hours. Each of those dings you hear during the flight has its own meaning. For example, a high-low sound informs flight attendants their colleagues need them in another part of the cabin. 3 low dings mean serious turbulence ahead. Duty-free stores aren't always cheaper than retail ones. What's more, goods are sometimes delivered to duty-free from regular city stores. So do not alarm passengers. Pilots and cabin crew often replace the word turbulence with a more neutral air pocket. Flight attendants assess you when you're boarding the plane. If you look strong enough and are wearing comfortable clothes, they'll remember it to ask you for help in case of an emergency. Don't worry if you notice airplane wings flex. They're designed to be flexible. If they were stiff, they would break as soon as the airplane came across the slightest turbulence. You may have an opportunity to check your carry-on bag at the gate, and totally for free. Listen for messages offering complimentary checked bags. It happens when the airline expects a full flight and there's a shortage of overhead bin space. Be careful with what you buy in duty-free if you have a connecting flight. Some airports won't allow you to carry liquids over 3.4 ounces through your layover destination, even if they're from a duty-free store and in a sealed bag. You can ask for an extra portion if you still feel hungry after the meal on the plane. If you're nice and polite, and the food is available, you'll get it. Most airlines get rid of the leftovers after the flight anyway. Planes never fly in straight lines. All routes have to pass not far from airports so that pilots have enough time to reach one if there's a forced landing. Weather conditions can also affect the trajectory. Airport taxis can charge you twice the actual price of the ride. It's always better to use an online taxi app or rent a car. If you don't have these options, make sure to find out the rate in advance. Airplane headphones are reusable, even though the bag you get is sealed. Foam covers get changed, and earphones are handed out to the next plane load of passengers. What surprises flight attendants most is passengers getting off the plane and leaving some or all of their stuff behind. You'll feel safer and happier in an airplane with a wider entrance and brighter lighting. You might even believe your food tastes better and your seat is wider. When a security agent is having a pleasant conversation with you, they might be checking your behavior right at that moment. They know how to make sure you aren't planning anything suspicious. When pilots fly as passengers, they ignore turbulence but pay attention to unusual smells. They know which scents can indicate problems with the engine or fuel storage systems. You can find free water at most airports. Just remember to bring along an empty plastic bottle. The chances are you'll see either a water refill station or at least a water fountain. The dirtiest places on any plane are the seatbelts, headrests, tray tables, and seat pockets. If your captain announces they're finishing some paperwork, it means they're busy revising the flight itinerary or waiting for the ground staff to prepare the flight logbook. That's a journal that contains the official record of a journey. You'll be the first to grab your suitcase at the baggage carousel if you check it later than other passengers. Bags that are loaded the last are typically the first to get to the baggage claim area. Some planes, especially those flying long distances, have secret bedrooms for crew members who need to catch some shut-eye. These bedrooms, called crew rest compartments, are located either at the back of the plane or behind the cockpit. Such a compartment can have up to 10 beds where flight attendants can have rest. Now, flight attendants are trained to notice some pretty important things about each passenger once they board the plane. Curious about what these are? Well, first and foremost, flight attendants are all about safety. So if you're following the rules and paying attention during the safety demo, you're already off to a great start in their book. But don't worry, they're not just looking for rule followers. They also want to make sure you're comfortable and have everything you need to enjoy your flight. One thing they notice right away is how much luggage you're carrying. If you're struggling to lift a heavy bag into the overhead bin, they'll probably step in and help you out. And if you're one of those people who insists on bringing a massive carry-on that barely fits in the bin, they might discreetly check to make sure you're not breaking any weight or size limits. Speaking of luggage, flight attendants can tell a lot about you from your suitcase. If it's covered in stickers from exotic locations, they might assume you're a seasoned traveler who knows their way around an airport. But if it's a beat-up old bag with duct tape holding it together, they might wonder if you're a first-time flyer or just someone who doesn't care much about appearances. Of course, one of the most important things flight attendants notice about you is how you treat them and your fellow passengers. If you're friendly, polite, and respectful, they'll go out of their way to make your flight as pleasant as possible. But if you're rude, demanding, and throw a tantrum when things don't go your way, they might not be as eager to help you out. And then some. They'll always take a sneak peek at what's on your feet, too. It's not because they're all secretly obsessed with shoes, it's actually for your safety. They check out your sneakers to see if you can quickly and easily run in case of an emergency. If you're planning to board a flight, you might want to think twice before rocking those high heels, unless you want to hear an emergency command to kick them off. Speaking of emergencies, flight attendants also like to look at whether you're a fit person or not. They do this just in case they need some physical assistance in the event of some bad, unwanted thing happening. And hey, if you happen to be a doctor, don't be shy about letting the crew know. You might just be a lifesaver. Now, let's talk about food and drinks, my favorite topic. Flight attendants are always happy to serve you, but they also notice what you order. If you ask for something that's not on the menu or request a complicated custom drink, they might raise an eyebrow. But if you order something simple and easy to prepare, like a glass of water or a bag of pretzels, they'll be more than happy to oblige. If you're planning to fly with your furry friend, make sure to prepare it for some attention from the flight attendants. Don't worry, they're just curious about your cute companion. And if your pet is a trained service animal and registered with the airline beforehand, they're good to go. Also, if you've paid for your pet to fly, make sure they stay cozy in their carrier for the entire trip. Flight attendants are also trained to notice any unusual behavior or potential red flags. If someone seems nervous or anxious, they'll keep an eye on them to make sure they're okay. Luckily, some flight attendants are also happy to share some secrets that will make your next experience in an airplane way better. For instance, if you're wondering when's the best time to take to the skies, they may have some ideas. Some destinations, for example, have plenty of flights throughout the day. So the question is, should you go early or stay up late? Turns out that the best time is first thing in the morning. But shh, don't tell anyone, or they might steal all the morning flights. The reasoning is pretty sound, though. The weather is usually calmer in the morning, and any delays from the day before should have been sorted out overnight. Now, when it comes to holiday travel, here's another piece of advice. If you can swing it, give yourself a little wiggle room. For example, try flying on the day before the winter holiday starts, instead of the 24th itself. That way, you'll have a bit more flexibility and hopefully avoid any stress or last-minute airport drama. What can you do when it comes to delays, you might wonder? Well, they can happen at any time, unfortunately, and there's not much a flight attendant can do about it. But don't worry, flight attendants and passengers are on the same team. Also, don't believe the rumors. Flight attendants won't hide information from you. There's no point. If you're stuck on a delayed flight, don't hesitate to ask the staff for all the info you need, and rest assured they will do their best to get you on the next available flight as soon as possible. Now, what about jet lag? Surely flight attendants have the best remedies. If you're hopping across time zones, most flight attendants recommend catching a quick snooze upon arrival. But don't get too cozy. Stay up until nightfall to help your body clock adjust. After all, you don't want to be groggy when you arrive. Also, if you're only visiting a destination for a short time, airplane staff recommend sticking to your home time zone. It might just save you from the hustle of adjusting to another time zone unnecessarily. And don't forget to keep hydrated, munch on nutritious food, and get in some exercise to keep your body feeling tip-top. Now, we've all seen in movies those scenes where the main character gets a surprise upgrade to business class out of the blue. As much as we all dream of being upgraded to a luxurious seat mid-flight, it's usually only possible on the ground, unless you're one lucky duck. There's a list and a method for who gets bumped up to first class. Sometimes, flight attendants will shuffle passengers around so families can sit together, or they do it to fix any seat mix-up. But once the plane takes off, moving around is pretty rare. Ever wondered if you can switch seats with another passenger during the flight? The answer is yes, you can. Most flight attendants encourage it, especially if it means keeping families together. However, it's best to figure out any seat-swapping arrangements before boarding to avoid any chaos. Plus, some seats are fancier than others, and if people have paid extra for them, it's important to be respectful of that. Also, did you know that the emergency exit rows are sometimes marketed as premium seating? Let's talk about some serious airplane etiquette. So, who gets to claim the middle armrest? It's a big debate, but most flight attendants think the person in the middle seat deserves it. Hey, let's give them a break. They're already stuck in the least desirable spot. Now, on to the great window blind debate. Some people want them up. Some people want them down. If it's a nighttime flight, keep them closed. You don't want to disturb your fellow passengers with unnecessary light. However, if you're flying over the Himalayas, you better believe people are going to peek through those windows. And let's not forget, blinds need to be open upon arrival for safety reasons. The crew needs to see outside in case of emergencies. Have you ever been curious about what flight attendants eat on board? Do they have the same food as the passengers? Turns out they can have the same meals if they want to, but they don't always choose to. Some prefer to pack their own snacks like hummus, apples, and popcorn because the airplane options don't always keep them alert. They also focus on drinking lots of water and avoiding foods that might make them feel bloated, but they do indulge in airplane coffee. Some crew members even bring their own meals on board due to dietary requirements or to add to the festive vibe on holiday flights. I once saw a passenger give a tin of holiday cookies to the flight attendants. You can bet she got some extra special attention. Uh-oh, your airliner is filling up with people, so you hurry, looking for your comfy window seat and hoping to meet some pleasant neighbors. Because a 6-hour-long flight to Hawaii, with the ability to place your arms and legs as you want, is an excellent start to your vacation. You relax into your window seat, already thinking of sunbathing on the beach once you reach your destination. You greet your first neighbor, who takes the aisle seat. You see the flight attendants are about to close the doors. You breathe out and stretch your legs. No more neighbors. Suddenly, the last passenger runs up to your row. It's as if he appeared out of nowhere. He tells you that you have taken his seat. You can't believe it. The flight attendant comes and asks you to vacate his seat. But why? You reserved online the window seat. You have no time to argue as the plane is taking off. So, you move to the middle seat. The guy puts his elbows on the armrests. Your aisle seat neighbor has already occupied the other armrest and put on his earphones. Huh? Seems like you are left without any space for your elbows. Let the silent telepathic fight for the armrests begin. You already know all kinds of middle seat neighbors as you fly frequently. Which one are you? The passenger who occupies both armrests is what we call universal, because he thinks he is the center of the universe, and the window and aisle seat passengers have to stay in their respective corners. He might narrow down the communication to elbow fights. Here, we recommend marking your armrest territory with words, no matter how awkward it might seem. But this doesn't sound like you. The switching passenger is the one who sometimes uses the left-hand armrest and then switches to the right. It's usually peaceful coexistence. Here, the communication remains friendly, with you exchanging smiles as you touch each other by accident. That's already closer to you, but not completely. There's also that shy passenger that uses neither the right nor the left side of the seat. He usually sits straight and awaits his arrival at the destination. He is afraid of any elbow contact with his neighbors, but he doesn't look like you either. The cooperative passenger constantly uses the front half of the armrest and shares the other part with a neighbor. So you know there's a spot for your elbow and your neighbors know theirs. And zero unnecessary contact is guaranteed. Aha! It sounds like you. Now, you place your elbows on both armrests by moving the arms of your neighbors, smiling and indicating that they need to share the joint space. Now, we will reveal the secret about how you got the middle seat. Your airline had to change the plane at the last minute, and an entirely different seating plan put you into the middle seat. It turns out the flight editor could not keep your window seat anymore, as re-editing the seating plan within a short time is tough. Transporting everybody on board the new aircraft is like working on a puzzle. Another secret when they can assign a middle seat to you is if you get to the airport at the very last moment. If you've made no seat reservation and haven't checked in online, you're more likely to get a middle seat in the row next to the restroom. Or you'll be seated behind the wing and rewarded with extra noise from the engines. But you also have excellent chances to get a surprising upgrade or some extra space seated in the exit row or bulkhead seats. Algorithms drive our world these days, as you know. The secret here is that you need to use the same airline frequently. Then you will accumulate as many flight segments or miles as possible to become a status club member with pleasant privileges. And you will then be called the Gold One. Now, whenever you buy a ticket, your frequent flyer number will activate an algorithm in the reservation system. You'll be able to reserve an extra space seat online and get access to airport lounges. And even when the flight is not fully booked, The computer system will automatically block the middle seat next to yours, and you can enjoy spreading your arms and having no contact with a stranger during the whole flight. It can also come in handy to know how to get an upgrade at the last moment. Airlines regularly oversell seats on flights to maximize revenue and increase load factors. That's why they constantly analyze the number of no-show passengers for a certain time and date using a special software. It costs only $50 to $100 to an airline to upgrade an economy passenger to an empty seat in business or first class. That's why free airline upgrades can often happen. But for you, it's essential, especially if you're on a long flight. You will get your premium experience according to your priority status. It means that if you're on the gold list, you'll be of the highest priority ranking. Then the computer program will show the gate agent that your economy seat is no longer valid. The gate agent will change your seat number from 6A to 1A, and it means you can look forward to getting top service. And you will be the lucky one who gets a fancy drink, filet mignon, and a cozy seat on the more luxurious side of the cabin divider. Now, here's another secret. If you fly solo, you will have upgrades more often given to you rather than groups. If you order a special meal in advance, you will not get a free upgrade, as your meal cannot be upgraded with you. An airline controls the meal numbers and will not serve a special economy meal in business class. But you may as well get the upgrade if you are not a member of the Gold Club. Here's another algorithm that can help you get upgraded already at the check-in. A long-haul aircraft has, let's say, a total of 354 seats. We have 8 first-class seats, 42 business-class seats, and 304 economy-class seats. Now, let's assume there are 4 first-class passengers, 20 business-class passengers, and 330 economy-class passengers. The economy class is oversold by 26 people. Now, who will be the lucky 26 passengers to sit in the front, and when will it be decided? The airline supervisor instructs check-in agents to take notes of the arriving passengers, and they will silently put some of them into the SFU list. It means suitable for an upgrade. You will not notice your probable upgrade at that moment. At first, the check-in person will give you a standard economy class boarding pass with a seat number printed on it. It all begins 1 hour before the departure at the gate. That's when the check-in counter closes, and now the staff knows the final figures. Let's assume all 354 passengers appear on time. The last 26 economy passengers get their boarding passes without seat numbers, and the supervisor finalizes the passenger list. The first lucky 4 business class passengers with an upgrade can move to the first class, and 22 people from the economy class get upgraded to the business class. Now there's enough space in the economy class. New boarding passes get printed, and the gate supervisor announces the names of those who got lucky. That's why it's good to board late, because upgrades are still being processed up to the very last minute. By the way, check-in agents not only take your bag and give your boarding pass, they're also responsible for your admission to your destination on international flights. While talking to you at the counter, the agent gets a computer answer, an OK or a N-OK to board. Thanks to the pre-checks at the departure airport, the international arrivals border control goes much faster as some work was already done at the departure point. And you usually appreciate it because, this way, you can leave the airport quickly after a several-hour flight. The check-in agent also ensures that passengers do not carry excess hand baggage. While boarding the plane, you're welcomed by a friendly smile and hello from 1 or 2 flight attendants. You might not know it, but at this moment, the chief cabin attendant is secretly checking you whether you are fit to fly or not. They pay particular attention to possibly aggressive passengers, those that might get removed before the flight. While you're taking your seat on board the plane, flight attendants are spread throughout the cabin. They welcome you and check that you don't stow any hand luggage at the exit or bulkhead row. During the meal service, flight attendants control what you drink and ensure you do not exceed a certain amount. Be careful, flight attendants are watching you, but only to keep you safe.
Hey, you've got the wrong person. I'm just a manager going back home from my annual vacation in Europe. The TSA agent pulls out a massive chunk of delicious French cheese from your hand luggage. Turns out, you can only grab really small amounts of soft cheese on board, since it's considered to be liquid. Fun fact, you can bring a cheese grater on board without any problems, but you can grate no more than 3.4 ounces. That's the maximum cheese amount. Wait, you can't grate it. Cheese should be safely sealed in a plastic bag. Good news, hard cheese is fine to travel with. Okay, they took your cheese. A large bottle of water, you're bad. Some cream tubes and other fancy souvenirs. Look at that fine Swiss knife you grabbed in Geneva. It now risks ending up in an auction. If you're lucky enough, the airport might provide a shipping service to get your precious souvenirs and even cheese, if it doesn't go bad, to your home for a fee. Still, not all the airports do this. So, some of the banned items will go to an auction to raise money. The confiscated items are usually sold in bulks, so it's going to be pretty hard to find the ones that you had to leave behind. Some other objects with more specific purposes are donated to different organizations. Pepper spray, for instance, would go to a police training academy. As for cheese, prohibited exotic fruits, and other food and water, well, they usually just get disposed of. Some items, especially really bad and dangerous ones, may be simply melted or destroyed. Magic 8 balls pose no danger, but they have to be checked in luggage. The problem is the liquid inside them. Yeah, it might be less than 3.4 ounces, but let's face it, it's hard to count the exact amount. Ask your ball if you can take it on board. It's likely to give you a "don't count on it" answer. Relieving gel insoles are a bit disturbing on board. The problem is the same. It's impossible to count the exact amount of liquid. So, no gel insoles, and no gel candles either. Perfume and nail polish are kind of forbidden too. It's not only about liquid on-board restrictions, but also about etiquette rules. Some passengers may simply be allergic to their smell. Plus, they're flammable. As for nail polish removers, opt for an acetone-free version, since acetone is a no-go for hand luggage. Anyway, you can grab a bottle of perfume as long as it's not too large and you don't use it on board. It would be a pity to leave a whole bottle in the trash bin before boarding. Still, you can sneak in the plane with more than 3.4 ounces of your favorite cream, claiming it's some medicine that you really need. But you do need to notify the airport beforehand. A bit weird, but it works. Sometimes. In case you need to check your body temperature on board, make sure your thermometer is electronic. Mercury ones are strictly forbidden. Who's going to pick up all the mercury balls if you accidentally drop it? Bowling pins are a no-go for hand luggage. Seems like the aircrew doesn't want anyone to have fun and play bowling in the aisles during a long and boring flight. No, it's all about our safety. They just think bowling pins might hurt someone. No sports equipment is allowed, be it a fencing foil, a bat, or even darts. Darts are sharp, and no sharp objects are allowed on board. Such items should travel in check-in luggage, unless you want them to end up in an auction. If you're into handmade things, and a transatlantic flight gives you enough time to knit a scarf or a pair of socks, opt for plastic or wooden knitting needles and wrap them carefully so as not to cause any damage. Those made of metal will probably be disposed of by melting, and they don't deserve such a fate. Snow globes, as with any other object containing liquid inside, aren't allowed through security. If your snow globe is as small as a tennis ball, you may be lucky to have it allowed, but it's better to play it safe and check the snow globe in. Liquid bleach is definitely a weird object for hand luggage, even if you're traveling in a white shirt. First, it's not allowed on board because it's highly flammable. Second, a brand new white shirt doesn't seem to be the right choice for a flight. Coffee and turbulence just don't mix. Third, the bathroom on board is far too small for laundering. If you're a hairdresser on a business trip, you'll probably have to invest a bit more when booking your flight. No hair bleach is allowed on board. Scissors aren't welcome either, unless their blades are 4 inches or shorter. By the way, scissors that aren't allowed to fly are often donated to schools, which is a good alternative to disposing them. Bad news for hairdressers again. Due to a gas cartridge that's filled with butane, cordless curling irons aren't allowed on board. Good news, electric curling irons are completely fine and safe. If you're an artist, you must have already struggled with security rules. You don't want your paint to get frozen or ruined in the luggage section, so you'll surely want to bring it on board. Security may be okay with your oil paints as long as they're under 3.4 ounces, but there's no way you can grab your extremely flammable turpentine. Now, in case you don't enjoy food on a plane and failed to order a meal on board beforehand, You can take any pan or pot on board and cook it yourself. No, you can't cook, and you can't grab a cast iron pan either. They're quite heavy. That's why they're likely to be dangerous. If a TSA agent confiscates it, it won't end up being donated to a local kitchen. It'll probably be melted. If you want to have some fresh smoothies while flying with fresh fruit that are allowed on board, like an apple or a banana, bad news for you. Blenders are allowed only in case you remove the blades, so technically it's not a blender anymore. Hey, here's when you need that cheese grater. English Christmas crackers can make a wonderful atmosphere of joy and happiness during Christmas holidays, but it brings nothing but a mess on board. It makes a cracking sound when pulled, which can frighten other passengers. They are not allowed in checked bags, just like party poppers and sparklers. High heels and thick soles aren't prohibited, but they do cause some problems. If you're wearing one of these, you may be asked to take them off to have them scanned. Sure, there are some plastic shoe covers, but these airport floors are swarming with germs. Wedding dresses are a bit of a problem too. Some dresses just don't fit in the X-ray machine, so they might need to be double-checked. All the fans of camping, beware. You probably want to check in a lot of luggage required for your trip, so make sure you check in the tent pegs too. Though, if you travel light with a carry-on backpack only, you'll probably need to buy some when you reach your destination. Since they're sharp objects, tent pegs are not allowed on board. It's hard to imagine anyone having a drill inside their 5-pound carry-on luggage. But anyways, these are not allowed. So if you're a creative person who wants to bring a drill home as a vacation souvenir because magnets are lame, you'll have to check it in. If you want to sneak in a plane with a dry ice DIY fridge, you're almost sure to fail. It's flammable, so safety regulations definitely prohibit it on board. You can bring up to 5.5 pounds of dry ice, but airline permission is required. Anything with an uncovered blade is not allowed through security. Instead, a disposable razor or cartridge blades can be taken on board. Box cutters and knives, with a teeny tiny exception of a smooth butter knife, should be in checked luggage. Soap bars are allowed on board, but don't panic if a TSA agent wants to double-check your bag after scanning it. It just may look a bit odd on the screen and mislead them. Liquid soap, instead, follows the universal liquid rule. Rules for batteries may vary. Spillable batteries are allowed neither in carry-on nor in checked luggage. And lithium batteries also can't be carried on board, only because if damaged, they can cause a fire. Okay, you travel with your Mr. Scratchy, and yes, a laser pointer is your furry friend's favorite toy. But you gotta make do without it this time, buddy. Laser pointers are not allowed in carry-on nor in checked luggage. A walking stick can be used as a mobility device and then let on board. But surprisingly, TSA may prohibit this item sometimes. Play it safe and notify your airline in advance. Bon voyage!
Many airports have carpets at their gate areas. This nicety usually comes with a few other perks: lower ceilings, comfortable seats, and pleasant natural lighting. All this costs more for airports, and carpets are not so easy to clean as hard floors are, but they create a cozy feeling for passengers waiting for their flight, making them more relaxed. Still, it isn't a gesture of goodwill on the part of airports. According to social research, calm passengers are about 7 to 10% more likely to go window shopping and actually buy something in the lounge area or duty-free zone. So, by investing in the passenger's comfort, airports actually increase their own income. If you ever wanted to know what happened to your baggage while you're on board a plane, the short answer is that airport staff don't actually know once it leaves their territory, and they probably really don't care. Sorry. Baggage is sorted automatically. Scanners scan the barcode and sort the baggage according to its destination. The three main tasks of airport baggage handlers are to move your bags from the check-in area to the gate, to move them from one gate to another when you have a connection, and to move your bags from the plane to the baggage claim area. And that's it. So if your luggage doesn't move fast enough, it can be late for your connecting flight, or the exact opposite. Your bag gets to your destination before you do because you're stuck at passport control. Another problem can arise if you forget to tear off any old stickers showing a different destination. In this case, the scanner might send your luggage to the wrong country. Most airports are equipped with giant kitchens where the food for passengers is prepared. These kitchens usually cook food for different airlines at once. And since that oh-so-delightful airplane food must be cooked for about 6 to 10 hours in advance, these kitchens have to work 24/7. And however surprising it might sound, the menu for your flight is developed up to a year in advance. This is a common practice for most airlines because every single ingredient matters and adds to expenses. In fact, one airline managed to save $40,000 after they removed just one olive from every salad they served on their flights. Airport staff sometimes ask passengers to rub their hands on a piece of cloth before putting it into a special machine. It might seem kind of scary, but it's actually harmless. You're simply being checked by a machine called an atomizer. Before their working day starts, employees put samples of dangerous chemicals into the machine. The machine memorizes these smells, and in case a person's hand smells like those chemicals, it alerts airport staff to this danger. You know how it sometimes goes. You come to the security checkpoint, and suddenly, it turns out you have something prohibited to take on board in your carry-on. But don't worry, all the things seized during the pre-flight inspection can be stored at the airport for as long as 3 months. On top of that, you have an opportunity to mail them any address inside the country. Things taken away by security and weren't claimed can also get sold at special auctions and are delivered worldwide. If you have a long layover between flights, going to the nearest hotel to rest might not be the cheapest option. There's a much better trick. Check if the airport or airline sells 24-hour access to the VIP lounge zone. In most cases, you can have free snacks and drinks there and use free shower cabins and rooms for rest at a very affordable price. In multi-terminal airports, search for underground passageways connecting terminals that most people might not know about. For example, at Frankfurt Airport in Germany, there's a walking tunnel between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 that's mostly used by employees since passengers are simply unaware of its existence. There's an actual term for the first 60 minutes after you clear check-in. The golden hour. It's the time that passengers statistically spend more money in retail and duty-free areas of the airport. And having the most comfortable seats in those areas right in front of the shops is a clever trick to lure you in for shopping. Let's admit, sitting in front of a comfy chair while looking at a flashy sign or shopping window can be tempting, and that's exactly what the airports want you to feel. If your flight is overbooked and you can't fly at the designated time, don't hurry to accept the first voucher you're offered as an apology. Normally, airlines keep raising the stakes until they have enough volunteers to give up their flight seats. And if they don't, and you've been bumped in voluntarily, you can insist on a cash refund instead. Depending on your ticket price and the time of your delay, you might be entitled to as much as $1,300. Most airports have specific experts called profilers. These people practice what's called SPOT, or the screening passengers by observation technique. They carefully analyze facial expressions, gestures, and behavior in order to detect suspicious people. Their job is to notice the nonverbal signs of anxiety, such as people licking their lips, itching, or looking around a lot. If a profiler notices a person acting in a weird or off way, they can invite them for an inspection, where they can talk to a person to find out more about them. Profilers work in both the main halls and in passport control. The typical question they ask is, "What's the purpose of your visit?" Then they check the person's reaction to this inquiry. No matter how reserved a passenger is, if they have something to hide, TSA officers will find out, thanks to the tiniest cues in people's behavior. Before your luggage even gets on the plane, it goes through 5 security levels, and one of them, besides scanning the contents, includes being checked by a special dog that can sniff out dangerous chemicals. It's a well-known fact that a dog's nose is much stronger than that of any human. In fact, dogs distinguish smells from 10,000 to 100,000 times better than people do. No wonder airports take advantage of this super sense for security and regularly use these sniffer dogs to detect suspicious substances. What's really cool is that you can't even distinguish a detection dog from its civilian siblings. Unlike police dogs, the ones working at airports aren't trained to frighten or intimidate people. The most popular sniffer breeds are golden retrievers, labs, and German short-haired pointers. Charging your phone at a specifically designated spot can look convenient, but it's not really safe. If the charging station only allows you to plug in your cord, you might get malware installed on your phone with you none the wiser. The only safe way to charge your phone or tablet is to find an electric socket and use it with your own charger. Same goes for free airport Wi-Fi. Apart from the airports requiring you to authenticate yourself more often than not, someone can easily access your data while you're using an unprotected Wi-Fi hotspot. It's safer to use your mobile data, but if you absolutely have to use the airport's Wi-Fi, best clear or encrypt all your important data on your device. It might be exasperating to take your laptop out of your carry-on at the security check every single time. But the airport staff need to have a clear look at your device to make sure nothing is concealed inside. On the screen of an X-ray scanner, a laptop looks like a semi-transparent object with a clearly visible hard drive, CD drive, and whatnot. But security officers can't see what's behind some of those parts. For example, a dense and rather large battery. People tend to choose the closest security line to them. If that line turns out to be super crowded, just look around after ID and ticket check. You may see another checkpoint with much fewer people. Some checkpoints at the airport are situated at the far edges of the terminal, and that's why passengers fail to notice them. Applying for a TSA pre-check can be a great time saver for traveling in and out of the US. Being a member of this program has some great perks. First, getting through security and passport control happens faster. If you're a pre-check traveler, you won't have to take off your shoes or remove your belt. And forget about placing your stuff like liquids and laptops in special bins. If you aren't flying to or from the US, then you can look up similar services available in your country. If you're flying economy class but don't like it, who does? Check in online and check out the seating options about 4 days before your flight. It's about that time that airlines typically start upgrading seats, and you might get an upgrade to business class for a small fee or even sometimes for free. You can also ask for an upgrade when you're already at the airport. Most people forget about this opportunity or simply don't care, so you might just get lucky.
See that person at the airport checkpoint? They're getting scrutinized by security, keeping everyone else waiting in the line. Yeah, getting through the screening seems like it takes forever, especially with those strict and confusing rules. But there are tips to make it faster. You want to know them? Well then, pull up a seat. Oh, you're sitting already? Way to anticipate, pal. 1. Don't travel with coffee. Most people bring magnets or keychains from their journey. But if your type of souvenir is packs of Java, don't expect to go through the security in the blink of an eye. Usually, this love for coffee results in TSA workers searching through your bags. And it doesn't matter if you travel with a carry-on or checked baggage. Apparently, the strong smell of coffee might be used to hide the smell of suspicious substances. But not only coffee can get you into trouble. Number 2. Avoid packing cheese. Many countries just call for taking a giant wheel of cheese back home from holidays. And who doesn't like cheese? But it's going to be the reason for a fuss during the X-ray monitoring. Because cheese, as well as all other organic products like meat, looks orange on the screen, which raises suspicions. 3. Pack smart. It's better to pack the bare minimum if you really want to make it quickly through the security check. If that's not an option for you, then don't put things on the bottom of your carry-on if you know you'll have to take them out for separate screening. Such things usually include electronics and the bag with liquids. However, security can ask you to remove even snacks or books from your carry-on to make sure an overstuffed bag is safe. So it's better to place those things in a side pocket or at the top of your bag for easy reach. 4. Choose the right outfit. Wearing slip-on shoes is your best bet. No one wants to be that person who makes everyone wait in line while they're fumbling with their shoelaces when asked to take off their footwear. I've been there. Yeah, the poor schmuck with the shoelaces. As for clothes, put on something simple, without many pockets or a lot of metal decorations. Also, change your belt for one with a plastic buckle. And try to minimize the number of accessories, such as jewelry, watches, and hairpins. 5. Don't make a fancy hairdo. Guys, more on airport fashion. If you have long hair, just snatch it in a simple ponytail or keep it loose. Otherwise, you set yourself up for an additional inspection from security. Anything from carefully braided hair to an elaborate updo will keep you at the checkpoint longer. Piled up hair can look like a great style choice for you, but for TSA agents, it looks like a place where something might be hidden. Like a Cornish game hen, or worse. 6. Keep in mind the 3-1-1 rule. You can only bring 3.4 ounces or smaller containers on board in your carry-on. But here's a little catch. All those containers must fit in one quart-size Ziploc bag. This is the so-called 311 rule, which many airports follow around the world. Best check the website of your airline for more info on carry-on though. Notice that toothpaste, as well as various face and body creams, are considered liquids. All other containers that are larger than 3.4 ounces, regardless of the actual amount inside, must be packed in checked baggage. 7. Leave your spare change at home. Okay, here's a bit of statistics for you. The estimated amount of change U.S. travelers collectively left behind at security checkpoints in 2018 was somewhere around $1 million. So, to save your money and time during the security check, simply leave your pocket change at home. This way you'll have to put less stuff in plastic bins when you go through the scanners, and won't make others wait while you're fishing for your dimes in that bin. Speaking of money… 8. Don't bring a lot of cash. If you travel abroad, it seems logical to exchange money for the currency of the country you're going to at the best rate. Your travel agent might even recommend this. But carrying anything in bulk will inevitably make you suspicious for airport security. They most probably are going to ask you questions about why you need so much cash and where it came from. 9. Weigh your bags. No, not wave at your bags. Either do it at home or before heading out to the airport, or use the scales that many terminals have in front of the check-in areas to make sure your baggage isn't overweight. And even if it happens to be a bit heavier than it's supposed to be, then you'll have some time to do any swapping between your bags before it's your turn to show up at the check-in counter. 10. No snow globes in a carry-on. Aw, man! Such an innocent thing can be considered a possible security threat. Remember that 311 rule? Well, your pretty treasure contains more than an allowed amount of liquid, so pack it carefully in your checked bags. 11. Avoid traveling at peak times. By the way, this is not the 3 hours between 5 and 8 when travelers tend to peek around the corner at unsuspecting passengers. It's the other kind of peek. No, not the mountain kind either. Anyway, you can't avoid it altogether, but if the situation allows, pick your flight wisely to save yourself from huge lines at checkpoints. Airports are usually overcrowded during the holiday season or special sporting events. Also, try to avoid booking your flight on Fridays from 4 to 8 p.m., since this is the time when some travelers are returning home from business trips and others are flying out of town for leisure. 12. Look for far-away checkpoints. People tend to choose the closest security line to them. If that line turns out to be super crowded, just look around after ID and ticket check. You may see another checkpoint with much fewer people. Some checkpoints at the airport are situated at the far edges of the terminal, and that's why passengers fail to notice them. 13. Use TSA PreCheck. Applying for TSA PreCheck can be a great time saver for traveling in and out of the U.S. Being a member of this program has some great perks. First, getting through security and passport control happens faster. If you're a pre-checked traveler, you won't have to take off your shoes or remove a belt. And forget about placing your stuff like liquids and laptops in special bins. If you aren't flying to or from the US, then you can look up similar services available in your country. 14. Fly premium class. Of course, not everybody can afford it, but if you travel a lot for business, for example, and in your situation time is money, then you should consider this option. You'll not only get an enhanced in-flight experience with more comfortable seats and tastier food, but also will be whisked away to your business or first-class seat faster. Premium class passengers can expect expedited security lane access, which makes check-in go more smoothly. 15. Keep your documents close and your enemies closer. Oops, sorry, that's from The Godfather. No need to waste your time by digging through your bag searching for your papers when you reach the check-in desk. You'll have to show your ID and ticket a few times going through airport security. So it's better to have them ready in an easily accessible spot like an exterior pocket or simply in your hand. Also, keeping them in hand is a great way to avoid forgetting them at home or in your car. 16. Check in online. Most airlines now have this option, which can save you lots of time. You can also print your boarding pass in advance. If you're someone who usually travels only with a carry-on, checking in online will make your way through security checkpoints faster and easier. But if you have bags that must be checked, then check-in agents will reissue another boarding pass for you at the airport. And finally, remember, leave the spare change, take the cannoli. If you know what that line's about, leave me a comment.
Airports are some of the most visited and, at the same time, mysterious places out there. So, let's see what's going on behind the scenes and what secrets airports hide. At some airports, there are special people called profilers. Such people bring to life a special program called SPOT, Screening Passengers by Observation Technique. They analyze your mimics, gestures, and behavior in order to detect suspicious people. Their job is to notice nonverbal signs of anxiety, people licking their lips, itching, or looking around a lot. If a profiler notices a person acting in an unusual way, they can invite them for an inspection. There, they talk to this person, trying to find out more about them and confirm, or not, their suspicions. Airport agents might also be watching you all the way from the security check to your gate. Some airports have facial recognition scanners that can easily track you. They're equipped with special software that compares passengers' faces with their IDs. Keep in mind that if you don't charge your laptop before the flight, it may be confiscated. It's not uncommon for an airport security officer to ask you to power your device up. If you fail to do it, your gadget can be taken away for an additional check. For safety reasons, it's crucial to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with or modified in a way that can cause harm during the flight. Packing an electric brush in your check-in luggage may land you in trouble. Brushes produced by some brands have lithium batteries inside, and those can potentially lead to serious problems in the air. That's why leaving your electric brush in your checked suitcase isn't an option. But you're allowed to store them in your carry-on bag. At the same time, if your device runs on AA batteries, you can put it wherever you want. Anyone who's ever traveled by plane knows about the no liquids rule, but not everybody knows that this rule also applies to peanut butter, toothpaste, creams, lotions, liquid makeup, lava lamps, snow globes, some kinds of medications, deodorant, and even gel shoe inserts. Now, let's go outside for a while and look at those landing spots. Airports charge airline companies huge fees for landing on their runways on certain days and at particular times. But the most interesting thing is that the landing spots can be bought and sold. For example, in 2016, Oman Air paid Air France around $75 million for one early morning arrival slot at London Heathrow Airport. You must have noticed that airfare has increased over the past decade. That's because of the extremely high prices of landing slots. Dispatchers don't only control the planes in the sky, as you can often see in the movies, but they also look after their movements on the ground. They also control the lighting on the runways. There's 3 types of air traffic controllers: en route, terminal, and tower. Each of these dispatchers has their own area of responsibility. One dispatcher has about 5 monitors, and the information on them is constantly changing since the monitors show weather conditions and information about other planes. You know how it sometimes goes. You come to a security checkpoint, and all of a sudden, it turns out you have something prohibited in your carry-on. But worry not, you still have a chance to save your favorite penknife. At some airports, there are on-site postal services, and you might have an opportunity to mail your belongings to any address you provide. But the mailing fees are pretty high, plus certain items are prohibited, and the postal service won't deliver them. Airports can be selling your lost luggage right now. Of course, I don't say that there's no chance for you to get back your suitcases that's traveled to a different destination, but just as likely, you might not see it again. In this case, an airport has the right to sell your misplaced belongings at an auction. Most airports have an annual lost luggage sale. After paying an entry fee, you can bid on electronics, clothes, bags, and other stuff. While flying, you might have a celebrity on board, but you won't know it. Large airports have separate check-in and security procedures for celebrities. They often board the plane directly through a hidden door located beside the jet bridge. Some airlines also use cool cars to transfer VIP passengers from the terminal building to the plane. At the same time, most people come to the airport well ahead of time. And the most popular activity while waiting for a flight is wandering through the duty-free zone. And even though people rarely plan to buy anything there, different products end up in their shopping baskets. That's because lots of airports are designed in a special way that makes people feel relaxed and at ease. I'm talking about all those huge windows, a lot of light, massage chairs, and comfortable seating areas. And statistically, calm passengers are 10% more likely to spend money on retail, duty-free, and food. Designers put a lot of thought into airport layouts. It helps to ensure the smooth flow of travelers. And the main point here is easy navigation that can prevent people from getting lost. This is achieved through subtle but very effective design cues. And placing duty-free zones between security checkpoints and boarding gates is one of them. They supposedly help you relax after clearing security and lead you where you need to go. But speaking of food, a celebrity chef restaurant at the airport might not be as good as it would be if you were visiting the real thing. Not chefs themselves, but special restaurant companies are responsible for airport outlets. One of the reasons is the extremely strict security that surrounds airport deliveries, including food. You may still have a nice meal, but it won't be the same. Now, I'll tell you about one more way airports manipulate you into spending your money. They make you walk through the shiny duty-free stores straight after the security check. But the most curious thing is that the walkway through such stores usually veers to the left. That's done because most people are right-handed, which means they use their right arm to pull their luggage and are more likely to look to the right while passing through the stores. And the duty-free zone veering to the left leaves more space on the right, where passengers are more likely to look. Oh, and have you ever noticed how many mirrors there are at airports? Mirrors are strategically placed there to make airports appear larger and create an illusion of more space. This in turn helps to reduce the feeling of claustrophobia and makes the airport experience more comfortable for travelers. If you have an opportunity, don't exchange cash at the airport. You'll never get a good rate there. Those who didn't buy local currency in advance can instead order it online and collect it at the airport. Some services only need a few hours' notice for such an order, or it might even be better to use an ATM to withdraw some cash at your final destination. Now, have you ever paid attention to airport codes? The most often used are 3-letter codes. Why this number? Back in the 1930s in the USA, pilots used the National Weather Service's 2-letter city codes to refer to airports. But soon, the number of airports in the country outgrew the number of such codes. That's why airlines expanded this system by adding the 3rd letter. It was usually X. That's how LA, Los Angeles, turned into LAX. But even though there shouldn't be 2 airports with the same code, some of these codes sound so similar you can easily mistake one for the other. For example, look at this airport with the code CGP in Bangladesh. And here we have CPG. It's the code of an airport in Argentina. It's dangerously easy to fly to the wrong place, so pay attention